LOD2, Creating Knowledge Out of Interlinked Data. Welcome to the LOD2 webinar series, Linked Open Data Tools and Services for Publishers, Enterprises and Governmental Institutions. LOD2 is a large-scale integrating project co-funded by the European Commission within the FP7 Information and Communication Technologies Work Programme. This 4-year project comprises leading linked open data technology researchers, companies and service providers. Coming from across 12 countries, the partners are coordinated by the Agile Knowledge Engineering and Semantic Web Research Group at the University of Leipzig, Germany. LOD2 will integrate and syndicate linked data with existing large-scale applications. The project shows the benefits in the scenarios of media and publishing, corporate data intranets and e-government. Once per month, the LOD2 webinar series offer a free webinar about tools and services along the linked open data lifecycle. Stay with us and learn more about acquisition, editing, composing, connected applications, and finally, publishing linked open data.
Welcome one of our colleagues from the LOD2 project, who is Christian Dirschl from Wolters Kluwer, Germany. I hope, Christian, you're already on the line.
Yes, hi Martin.
Hello, how are you today?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Thank you, fine too. So what we will hear today in the LOD2 webinar series is about the publishing and media use case of LOD2. So one of the 3 use cases, and in our today's webinar, in the information and publishing industry by Wolters Kluwer Germany. And I'm sure you will tell us more about Wolters Kluwer Germany, and about the use case. So the floor is yours, and we're very interested in your presentation.
So thank you very much, and welcome everybody to the webinar. Today it's about the use case, meaning that we are not talking too much about technology, not about tools in detail, but more about the usage of that technology in an industrial environment and the business impact that this technology has for us already and will have during the course of the project. So this is the agenda currently showing. So I will talk 1 slide to 2 minutes about our company, what we are doing, what is our business, and so on. And then I will talk about why LOD2. So I will show the linked data lifecycle of LOD and the role of Wolters Kluwer within that. Then I will go into more how our internal lifecycle currently looks like and what it will be in the future. Then I will talk about what we currently use for our use case from the LOD2 stack. So the stack is very huge. It comprises of currently, I think, around 38 different tools and applications. And we do not use all the applications for our own purpose, but just a smaller number of it. And I will show you how what we use and how this will interact with each other. Then I will go into the business side, saying, okay, once we use the stack, what is the outcome in our products, mainly in our electronic and innovative products that we have in the market. Then I will talk about publishing of linked open data. This is one additional area that we were focusing on for the reasons I will tell in a minute. And then I will end up with some lessons learned and next steps, since you know that, as Martin mentioned, we are currently in the midst of the project and we are still 2 years to go, and there is still a lot to do. So talking about Wolters Kluwer, who are we? So we are a publishing house, an information provider, a software house, a workflow house, all around legal information. So the information space that we are working on is about legal, regulatory, it's about tax and accounting in Germany. So there we have a lot of products and brands in place. So anybody who is dealing with legal information on a professional basis can use our products. This is important in respect to the semantic technology that we are using, because we are having focused target groups. So the information that we deliver to our customers is on the one hand very specific, so it's about legal information, and as you all know, even if you are not lawyers, legal information is very special in many respects, but for this purpose here, it's important to say that it is not endless, but it can be scoped. So what legal is can be defined and can be said and also can be modeled, and that is a huge benefit for the use case, because we can simply say, okay, this is part of our domain, this is part of our world, and this is what we need to model within the project, and others is not our business. A second important information or aspect for the project is that Wolters Kluwer Germany is part of Wolters Kluwer. Wolters Kluwer is a legal information provider acting worldwide, so we have businesses around the world, in Europe, in North America, in Asia Pacific, and this means that the input coming into the project is not only focused on Germany as such, but actually on any legal business around the world. So I talk a lot to colleagues around the world, I work together with them, we get input from their side, and this is then reflected to some degree at least in the requirements for the project. And on the other hand, it also means that whatever comes out of the project will have impact on the company as a whole, and not only to the German part. So this is who we are and what we are doing. Next, for those who haven't seen it yet, those who have already attended webinars before, you will know that. So this is the linked data lifecycle. So if we start at the bottom, you see there is search, browsing, and exploration. So you look for some piece of information. Once you find that piece of information, you extract it, then you have it. Then you need to store it somewhere where you can query it again. And normally this information is not perfect, so you do some sort of revision on the data, also some authoring, so new data comes in, is generated with the information at hand from different sources. Probably you interlink this information, fuse it, merge it together to create additional information out of it. Then you do some classification and enrichment in order to gain even more information, and then you have a look at it and say, okay, obviously all this merging is not finished yet, so we need some quality assurance, we need some analysis on top, and then you do some repair stuff, and then you have new data sets, and then you can search and browse, explore again, and the whole thing starts all over again. So if you are not familiar with the semantic web and the linked data paradigm, but familiar with the publishing paradigm, especially around electronic applications, then you will see that a lot of these modules, a lot of these tasks that need to be done can be one-to-one mapped to workflow phases around information that we in the legal, but not only in the legal, also in the publishing area in general, are doing on a daily basis. So this is one first finding for the use case and the availability of the use case within the project. This is what is done in the project, what is done within linked data lifecycle, very much resembles what is actually been done in publishing houses and software houses for professional customers like we have. So there's a good match between these two. So what is the rule of Wolters Kluwer Germany within LOD2? So on the top you see the tasks, meaning that on the one hand the LOD2 project is offering a tool stack. So we are talking here about technology. So tools are available to do the task that I showed in the previous slide. So that's the technical part of the story, which is important for us as at Wolters Kluwer. On the other hand, you see on the right-hand side, you see the data part, which always comes along with that kind of story. So you have here the LOD cloud with a lot of information, a lot of data sets, a lot of sources available in a common format, in a way to query that kind of information, to include that information, to merge that information. So for the acquisition and the enrichment task shown before, we can use a lot of information that is out there for our own purposes on the one hand, and through the publishing cycle we can also add information to the LOD cloud in order to enrich the cloud to make it more handy for our own domain, I'd say. So it's really, this is the second finding. I think general finding around the project is that not only the technology or not only the data is important and interesting for us as a information service provider, but actually both is very important and very relevant, and that makes the use case so compelling. The deliverables that we have, actually there are 4 different kinds of. So there are the green ones. So what we did already is that we used all our data that we had, all the as normal publishing house, we have all the data in XML files. We have so the metadata is in XML. We have some databases aside, and what we did in the first step was we triplified all the information that is in the data. So all the metadata, all the links in the data were triplified and are available as RDF. So this was the first release of the data sets. And then we went on to, and here is a typo, so in August 2013, I don't know there's a mistake there. So what we have is, oh no, it's correct. So December 2012, there's the first release of the interlinked Wolters Kluwer metadata sets. So what we have here is that we use the information that we triplified, and then we interlinked that with external sources from the LOD cloud. And this was the first iteration. This will be finished in a couple of weeks. And then next year we do the same thing once more. We do a second iteration, adding more metadata, adding more sources, and interlink that with our data. And in the end we will have hopefully a very huge and compelling information data set available on which we can use the LOD2 stack on. So this is more the data side that we are working on, and in the orange flag you can see that we also have one task according to a user interface. So we will make a prototype for a proper user interface of these interlinked data sets. So the challenge here is that we get a good transfer from the more technical view of data and metadata coming from the semantic web technology community to a usage and usability for editorial staff, who is more interested in the text, in the content, and in the metadata, but not in the technology around it. So the user interface will have to prove that this is possible, and this gap from technology on the one hand and the editorial experience on the other hand can be filled. And then we have two more additional more conceptual or basic tasks to do. The one is the guide and best practice of licensing interlinked data. So this is also one very open field. So even if there is information out there in the LOD cloud, it's really hard for somebody who really wants to take that information and use it in products. The licensing is not always clear, and most of the time the licensing is so that you really can't use the information. So we will use our experience that we make currently and make a deliverable, a document with best practices of how this situation can be enhanced. And the same goes for the last one in the gray flag, which is around asset creation and commercialization of interlinked data. So there we will propose some business models around this data and how this can be used better in a commercial environment. So this is what we are, this is our role within the project. So using the technology, using the data, and showing that within a publishing environment, this can absolutely make sense to use it. So this is, I will not go into detail here. So this is the traditional publishing life cycle, a serial life cycle. So we acquire content, then we enrich the content, we compose the content and publish the content, then we sell it, and at the end we have the customer. And fact is simply that in most of these steps, the linked data lifecycle helps us to accelerate or to optimize or to widen the process that we already have in place. So the content acquisition is more is reflecting with the extraction process in the linked data lifecycle. The enrichment is mapped with the interlinking, the classification, and the enrichment part, and via composing and bundling, the quality assurance and the analysis is also very important. So almost all the steps within the linked data lifecycle can be quite easily be mapped to existing publishing life cycles. So this is what is the past. So a very serial way of thinking about information from acquisition until to the end when the customer is using it. The technology in place is also very traditional. So in the center of it all is a content management system, and the information as such is stored, as I said, in XML files, and the metadata is also stored in the XML files, and this leads to very efficient processes on the one hand, but to lots of problems on the other hand also. And we will address this by our future content processing workflow, and I won't go into detail in here also, but the main thing is that not anymore the CMS is in the center of the whole process, but actually the information, and this is shown in the circle in the middle. So the information will be in the center of most of the things that we will do in the future. So the metadata database and the services around that will help us to create new assets, to create new functionality, to help us in semantic search, to help us in optimizing more flexible products, in helping us to create the content acquisition more efficiently, and so on. And within that central piece, actually, around metadata, the LOD2 stack is foreseen to be used, and in parts it is already used. One thing is also important here. So one problem that we were facing in the last year was as long as you have control over all your data, so all your data is yours, then you can still make a very efficient process around the content management system and the metadata in XML. So because it's all your data and you can process it easily, but with our new platform that we have, we added a lot of web data, we added a lot of third-party data from partner publishers, where we do not have complete control over the information and over the content. Therefore, the separation of the text and the metadata is actually a prerequisite to make that process over all content sources more efficient. So, what do we use within Wolters Kluwer, within our use case scenario from the LOD2 stack? That graphic should show it a little bit. So we start on the top left corner. So still we have XML as the main input format, where we have on the one hand the text, which is still stored in the CMS, in the document store, and on the other hand we extract the metadata from the XML and triplify that information using a tool from the LOD2 stack, which is called Valiant, which we developed on our own in order to make that extraction process performing and scalable. So this metadata is then available as RDF and is then stored in the middle, as you can see it, in the metadata store, which is also a part of the LOD2 stack, which is virtuoso triple store from OpenLink software. Then we have on the lower right corner, we have pool party in place from the LOD2 stack. There we have all our controlled vocabulary in place, which includes simple lists of information like law types or something like that, or document types. We also have taxonomies there, like lists of courts, for example, or we have whole thesauri there, like for specific legal domains, and all this is stored and managed and available within Pool Party, and every concept in Pool Party has a URI, and this URI is then also used in the metadata triple store in Virtuoso. So we have two sources, internal sources for the information in the metadata store, and then already we added information from external sources. So this is the cloud you can see on the upper right corner, and for the mapping and for the ingestion of external information we use the Silk framework, which is also part of the LOD2 stack. Therefore we, for example, added information from DBpedia, but not only, we also added information from economic thesauri like Eurovoc or TESOTS, which is German one, and others also. So we already added information, external information from outside, and this is the third source which is going into the metadata store. This metadata store and information and also the XML is accessible via Pebbles. Pebbles is a metadata editor based on OntoWiki framework, which is also part of the LOD2 stack. So this is an interface, I will show a screenshot later, where the editorial staff of Wolters Kluwer could have access to the information and change the information and search for it and browse through it and navigate through it, etc. So that is actually where we are right now with our prototype. So we have different tools in place from the stack with Valiant, with OpenLink, Virtuoso, with OntoWiki, PoolParty, and Silk. And that works pretty well, I'd say. But it's still in a prototype basis with one exception, and this is a screenshot from PoolParty where all the controlled vocabulary is stored. So currently PoolParty, apart from using it within the LOD2 use case, is also already used as our taxonomy and thesaurus management system on an operational basis. So this tool is based on SCOS as the content format, and we use this information for building up our, for example, the taxonomies within our electronic products. So this is already in place, and we will continue and further elaborate on how we can make this picture, this prototype, at least in parts, part of the operational system within Wolters Kluwer Germany. So this is PoolParty, and there you can see normal SCOS view. Sorry for the German interface, but what you can see here is that you have higher concepts, lower concepts, related concepts, preferred labels, synonyms, and scope notes and definitions. So all the stuff that you know about thesauri, standard thesauri, are also available here, for example. And on the left side, you can see the backbone, which is a tree structure. With Silk, which you see here, we do the mapping between our own internal information, let it be within PoolParty, so the controlled vocabulary on the one hand, but also the not controlled vocabulary. So, for example, information around organizations or something like that. We do the mapping within Pebbles. So here you can see that you have to extract the vocabulary that you want to link with each others, and then you include the labels. So for example, the pref labels should be the same, and then you get the results. You get the additional information here, for example, from STW, which is standard thesaurus on economics in Germany, and that was one of the sources that we integrated. So Silk was actually used by our own staff, so it was something new for us, but due to the visual interface that we have, it was possible to use it after quite short phase of training, and it works quite well. So this is Pebbles interface. As I said, it is based on OntoWiki, and it's the interface to access the metadata which is stored in Virtuoso. So what you can see here, this is showing one law in German, one German law. So you can see in the middle all the metadata, and if you would scroll down, then you would also see rendered as HTML the XML source. So this is also available. On the left-hand side, you have the filters, like here, document types, for example. And underneath, you have a login interface. So also rights management and authentication and so on is at least on a basic level available. And each and every of these metadata you can add, you can change, you can add a property, edit a property, you can copy or delete. So all the basic tasks that you need to do with any kind of data, any kind of metadata is implemented and works. So that's where we are right now with the prototype, and we could make a demo and show it how it works. But since we do not have time so much, I just leave it at the screenshot here. So what it is used for in the end. So one small puzzle piece is that we build up a knowledge base. So the metadata that we store in Pool Party, for example, reflects to some degree the legal domain that we are working in. And this information can then be used to build up a proper auto-suggest functionality within our electronic applications. Like here we have Urion, which is our most advanced application that we offer to the customers. And in the auto-suggest, where a string is keyed in, then you can see that there are phrases available as something to pick, and they make sense in a legal sense, and they come actually from this knowledge base and not primarily only from an index. So one usage of that knowledge information would be auto-suggest functionality, but it can be used in many other respects also, for the semantic search, for the relevance ranking, for correcting of typos, for related terms showing up, for generating related documents, and so on and so on. So this is our vision. This is where we are heading to for the usage of that kind of information. So building a domain ecosystem, a metadata ecosystem on top of the textual information in order to leverage intelligent functionality within our products. When we actually were searching for external information, for external sources, at least for German legal information, we came across the fact that there is not much out there that we could reuse. So in order to ingest more interest in the legal domain, we decided that we would publish some linked open data on our own as an offer to the community, as an offer to the researchers, to the university guys, to the developers on the one hand, but also to anybody interested in legal information as such. So we, with the help of Pool Party, we published two thesauri. One is around labor law, which is a very specific domain on the one hand, but a very useful domain on the other hand. This is more dedicated to legal professionals who try to organize their content and their information themselves. And then we also published a courts thesaurus with, as you can see it here, also with address information. So geo information is available here also, and then you can do some mashups with geo information and show, okay, what the Bayerische Verfassungsgerichtshof, which is a court here in Munich, is actually doing, and what his role is, and so on and so on. So if somebody walks around and sees not only the museums but also this kind of buildings and can make a use of it. So we are willing to publish more. Everything is available. We have a Sparkle endpoint. We have RDF XML available on all of that, and it's available via CC BY license, and you can use it. So this is the publishing aspect that we were going into, and this will help us also to get a more grip on the licensing and the business model aspect of the task that I was talking about before. Lessons learned. So you should have one aspect in mind. When we started the project, actually we did not know much about semantic web technology, about linked open data. So many things that we did was new for us. So one of the first things that we did was that we triplified the XML data. So the creation of the extraction rules for creating this metadata is an interactive and iterative process, and we learned that it requires both technical and domain knowledge. So parties that do on the one hand do the triplification, and on the other hand deliver the text, deliver the files, and also the domain knowledge. They must really talk to each other. They must translate what they are doing to each other. So they must reach a common understanding of the semantics that should and can be achieved in the end. Otherwise, this exercise will go horribly wrong. And yeah, we learned that, and it is possible. That's the positive message here, but it's not easy. One other thing is a proper decision on what vocabulary should be controlled vocabularies should be done in an early stage of the process. That's critical in order to avoid double work and reduce unnecessary complexity. So in a first step, we did not really bother about what should be controlled and what should not be controlled and so on. But this came back very quickly, and then we went through all the metadata again and said, okay, this must be controlled and that must be controlled. And the earlier you make these decisions where it makes sense for you to build up a controlled vocabulary, the better and the more efficient it is for the overall process. As I said before, not all required tools for the use case were in place in the early phase of the project. Therefore, new tools like Valiant were developed and the existing ones were extended, and this will simply go on. So the coverage of the LOD2 stack that we will use in the end after the 4 years project will definitely be more extended, will be higher than we have right now. Although I must say that these 6 or 7 tools are all very usable for us already. As in such projects where industry and academia work together, the successful communication between the partners in such a project is highly dependent on personal contacts and on the ability to find compromises. So it's natural that the ideas and that the priorities between the partners are not always the same, and you have simply to agree on what is good for both, and therefore you need to talk a lot. That's not new news, but it's important, and just want to state that also. I always have to look beyond Germany. So what's the impact for the company as a whole? And here I must say that supporting a legal domain use case in Germany does not necessarily imply that the LOD2 stack can effortlessly be reused in other countries due to the domain diversity in the national legal systems. So this statement is not addressed to the colleagues doing legal publishing, because they know that, but more to the academia partners that once you find a solution which works fine for one country, does not imply at all that it works fine for other countries also. There is an overlap, to some degree a high overlap, but still I think that a lot of transfer needs to be done. Next steps. As I said, currently we have pool party in place, but we want to add more of the LOD2 stack in our operational editorial environment. And currently we do a feasibility study which will be finished end of 2012, and then we will head for the implementation. As today, the published linked open data thesauri should further be promoted, and we will promote that further, and we are happy to collect feedback from the community, what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong and what should be done in addition. So please, if you had feedback or requirements, just let me know. And for the year 3, we will definitely closer investigate and test natural language processing techniques on legal domain content in order to generate more metadata out of the textual information that we have available within the project. Currently we only use the metadata that was already there as a basis, and I think there could be much more information be extracted from the text. That's it. I hope you enjoyed staying with us, and I want to point you to the next webinars. So on 12th of December there will be an important milestone for the project, because there will be a webinar around the second release of the LOD2 stack. So new tools will be available, better integration of the tools will be available, yeah, so please join when you want to keep in touch with the project. It's a very important step for us. In January, we will have a presentation from partner Samantha from Slovenia around LODG Refine tool. In February, from DBpedia Spotlight, and in March from publicdata.eu from Open Knowledge Foundation, which is another use case partner within the project. So thank you for listening, and now I open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much, Christian. Martin speaking again. I think that was a very interesting and great presentation of yours. So it's good to see, beside our normally very technical webinars, where the LOD2 stack is really in use in a real-world scenario. And also, thank you very much for announcing the next webinar. So we are happy after the last summer break of last summer that we're back with a monthly webinar series. We've collected some questions here, and I will fetch a few of them. And maybe if there are some additional questions by our audience today, just use the chat in your panel that you see on the right side of the screen, hopefully, to post some questions. So we have a little bit time left and can take additional questions if there are any. So it's an interesting mix about mainly publishing and linked open data in the publishing area. So we have one question here that is, how is Wolters Kluwer Germany managing the organizational and the cultural change of this new publishing approach using linked open data? Where do you see the problems, and where do you see the lessons learned?
Okay, yeah, it's a challenge. Definitely, it's a challenge. I mean, there are a few aspects to that. It's on the one hand that, of course, if you are used to publish content, so textual information, metadata is more a side aspect of the overall process. So you simply add it as much as it is necessary, but you do not really make it a central issue or a central concern to have proper metadata in place. This comes up as soon as you have the information available in a proper search environment in an electronic product, and then all the gaps, all the inconsistencies, all the errors that are there pop up immediately, and you need to change your process. And that is something that we learned in the past years, and every publisher going in that direction learned in the past years. So there is some awareness there, but of course coming from that awareness to the conclusion that metadata is actually as important as the content, as the data, as the text itself, is still a far way to go. Therefore, I think the technology that we have in place, that we can use NLP technologies, that we can use the integration of external information into our products, helps us a lot to gain speed and not only to be dependent on what the traditional way of publishing offers us in the process. So it's quite a change necessary, and it's still going on. I think we have one major advantage, and that is that it's a clear and dedicated strategy of Wolters Kluwer exactly to go in that direction. So it's no question if we do it or to what extent we do it. We have to do it. We have to do it completely, and it's just a matter of timing and resources on the way. But there is no arguing in any way, and that makes things much easier than you have to convince everybody that it's a necessary step. It's a given, but still it's a lot of change.
Okay, thank you very much. I can imagine that it's a lot of changing these processes. There's another question just coming in that is a little bit related to the other one you just answered, but a little bit more to the user interfaces. It says, thank you for the presentation. How did end users in general respond to the new interfaces and the triplified metadata? So a little bit question, who are the end users, but I think you can answer.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, so end users are on the one hand people like me and others who are trying to manage the metadata. So using Pool Party, for example, or using Silk, and since they are very focused and very familiar with metadata as such, I think it was possible to accept and also to like the interfaces that we developed and that we have in place that works for a typical editorial colleague who is working mainly on content, and as I said, the metadata is only one part that he works on. The interface shown within Pebbles is definitely not sufficient. It's a prototypical view. It shows that all the metadata is there, that it can technically be changed and deleted and added and so on, so that it shows that the technical infrastructure is in place, but as a final interface it is definitely not sufficient. But that's not actually something which bothers me, because I think that anyway it would not really make sense to build a complete new interface with this kind of information, but it would more make sense to use the technical infrastructure in place to use this information and add it to existing interfaces within the CMS, for example, or within the product creation process, because the metadata there is actually just the same metadata or more of a kind of metadata that we had in the past, and I do not see a major reason why we should change the existing and used interfaces. It's just a matter of having a more flexible infrastructure for adding new stuff in the future and for merging new stuff in the future.
Okay, I see. So you go the paradigm, never touch a running system, and you're just enriching the familiar, the well-known user interfaces for the users, as I understand. Great. I think we have time left for one or two questions. So I got one question here that is saying, on the one hand, Wolters Kluwer Germany or Wolters Kluwer is going the open data way, but does Wolters Kluwer Germany also provide commercial services for the creation and provision of knowledge models on customer request?
Yes, so this comes up more and more, to be honest. So we have big customers like big administrations, national administrations, regional administrations, but also huge customers in different segments of industry, where they say, okay, obviously you seem to know a lot about information and information organization, and also some major aspects around knowledge management. Can you actually help us to structure our information space that we have? And since we work also with all the legal stuff like you do, it would make sense if you were helping on that. Yeah, that's for us a new business opportunity that we are currently stepping into, and we have some very promising POCs to say, okay, the lessons learned and the processes and the ways how we learned in the past years to build up knowledge models, legal knowledge models, or within the tax environment or health environment, that seems to work also within these big administrations, and the collaboration here is something very promising for a new business field for us.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a question that I think you already answered, that is also saying, what is the competitive edge Wolters Kluwer gains by publishing, by integrating linked open data in its products and services? But I think that's already clearly answered. Or would you like to give one additional sentence here?
I mean, one thing is simply that we show to the community, which it could also be or are also our customers, our capabilities that we have. On the other hand, it's a general point of view saying that no publisher in the world, not even Wolters Kluwer, can really do all the necessary knowledge creation and modeling that we need in order to support our customers properly. So we need to collaborate to some degree. We need to work together to some degree, yeah, within that, always somebody has to do a start, and this is what we did. And now the opportunity and the offering is out, and I hope that there will be more ways of working together, because otherwise none of us will finally succeed.
Okay, thank you very much. We're a little bit running out of time, but there are two questions I would like to answer, maybe with a short answer by yourself. One says, one key question, how about publishing product metadata like Onyx, for example, as linked open data?
Well, of course, that is an easier part to do, because we are following, of course, to some degree the Onyx standard already, because we have to deliver information on that. I mean, if this is of general interest, just get in touch with me and we can talk about that. This is definitely something that we could more elaborate on.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I've here on my panel, I have one last question, maybe that we can answer together, because it's a question about the LOD2 stack. It says, how open is the LOD2 application stack? Can other EU projects set up our own instances for free and publish linked data? So maybe I give a short answer on this. I would like to remark you on the slides that you see. So I would say 95% of the LOD2 stack is open source. Everybody can use and reuse it. It has an Apache license as far as I know, and you can go to our website on LOD2.eu and follow your nose finding the LOD2 stack area, and there you can find Debian packages to download and to install. And join us on the 12th of December, because then you see everything and you hear a lot about the second release of our LOD2 stack. So any additional remarks from your side, Christian, on the stack?
No, that's what we actually did also. So we used the stack to the degree that we needed it, and yeah, 95% is free, open source, and just go and try out and use it. It should work.
Absolutely, it is working. So, and join us on the 12th of December. So I would like to thank you very, very much, Christian. So thank you very much for your presentation and your time.
You're welcome.
And maybe some announcements at the end that you or your colleagues, when you're interested in this webinar, these webinars are recorded. So we will publish this webinar in about 1 week from today on LOD2.eu. You can find the area of the webinars and also the slides of the presentation of Christian, also with contact details, so you can get in touch with him. And please join us at the next webinar, that is on the 12th of December, the second release of the LOD2 stack. And two announcements that my colleague also posted into the chat is, on the one hand, if you're interested to come to the European Data Forum, that is one central conference that is also organized by LOD2, beside the European Commission and other FP7 projects. The date is fixed now for the 9th and the 10th of April 2013, and it will take place in Ireland, in Dublin. And if you're interested to get in touch with LOD2 community, then go to our website and take a look at the Public service. We are offering a small and free consulting service on publishing and consuming linked open data for up to 5 or 6 applicants. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, Christian. And have a great afternoon.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed staying with us. If you need more detailed information, visit us at www.lod2.eu and let us know how we can improve to meet your expectations. Don't forget to register for our next webinar. Have a great day and don't forget.